Very good. So we're looking at Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 17. I'll share a screen with you. I'm not quite sure how many of you have seen, indeed, how public I made it. It ought to have been, or how prominent I made it. There was an error in the previous version that I did, which has fairly recently been corrected. I'll point it out to you immediately before we go on. Let me just share screen with you. Is the screen properly shared now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, right. In the previous version,
James, sorry, could you enlarge the text, please?
sorry?
Could you enlarge the text?
Oh, enlarge the text. Oh, yeah. Right. In the previous version, the Devanagari was correct, but I had accidentally left out a ya. Oh, in fact, I've still left one out in that first box. It's Vinasham. Let me read it. Avyayasya. There we are. So avyayasya, and avyayasya. In the previous one, I wrote it as avyasya. That was just by a typo. And it means the imperishable for a reason that I hope all of you understand. Why? Did I detect a certain look upon your face, Paladin, when I said a reason I hope that all of you understand? It means that which does not go away. It's actually important that you should all get it. Is there anybody here who knows the meaning and the analysis of Avyaya so well that any explanation on my part will be superfluous? Apart from Marco, who obviously knows it very well. Okay. Let me explain it. By the way, I've got a problem with my iPad. Normally I call up the iPad and it's linked, but I can't make the connection between the iPad and my screen. So what I'm going to do is to call up another document. Just so it's 90. Yeah. Actually, we're just call up a new blank document. There we are. So instead of using the iPad or the whiteboard, and I did try it at the last Pali class. You were here, Shriya Nimala, just to type it on screen rather than use the whiteboard or iPad. What does ZSQ stand for? It's my code. I press the space bar and we get the root sign. Okay. So we've got our favorite root, E, meaning to go. And we want to make a verbal noun out of it. So take a word like vid, meaning to know. The same word that comes into Latin meaning to see, videre. So vid, and we want to make a verbal noun out of it. So we apply guna, we strengthen the vowel. So vid becomes veda. That's kind of regular formation. From the root e, what do? We strengthen here in vid, we have strengthened, applied the guna, the first grade of strengthening, e to a in the root vowel, and we have added a. vid, veda. We do exactly the same here. We have E strengthened form E. Vid, veda, vid, veda. We see it the entire time. And we want to add A to it. Now, automatically in Sanskrit, if you have E and A, that automatically becomes Aya. E, A, automatically Aya. So V plus E. So V, by the way, what am I doing here? So V, sorry, so I haven't explained that well yet. Come back to where we were. So we have Aya, which is a verbal noun from the root E. We now have E, V plus E, meaning to go away or to depart. But it has a specialized meaning, and that means to perish, to depart from life, to disappear from existence. So we have V plus E, which by Sandhi becomes V. So for instance, gone away is Vita. However, what do we have here? We've got V plus, we want the verbal noun plus Aya. V plus Aya, then by regular Sandhi becomes Vyaya. So Vyaya just means perishing. Going away. In fact, the word to perish just means to go through, and to perire in Latin. Perire just means to go through, to finish. So vyaya, and then something which is imperishable is avyaya. There's some vyaya. It's what makes vaya in Pali. The last words of the Buddha, vaya dhamma sankhara. Imperishable, impermanent are all conditioned things. Appamadena sampadeta, strive on with appamada. So here we have the oops. Okay, so that now explains the form avyayasya. So vyaya, avyaya, imperishable, and this is the genitive form of avyayasya. Right, we'll go back to the start now. As I've explained that word, and I'll just read it. Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamedam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Vidhi is the second singular imperative of know. The reason is that vid, in fact, is a class 2 verb. And you make the second person singular imperative of a class 2 verb by just adding the to the root, or you add he to the root if the root ends in a vowel. So here we've got vid plus the, oops, that's not be a plus. So vidhi, know that. Tad vidhi, that know. Avinashitu tadvidhi, for know that to be indestructible. Yena sarvamidam, sorry, give you the Devanagari. I haven't got quite enough space for it all. Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam idantatam. Vidhi, to put it in English order, vidhi, no, that, supply to be, avinashi, indestructible, yena, by which, sarvam idam tatam. All of this is literally stretched. The word tatam, it's from the root tan, meaning okay. The root tan, meaning to stretch. And like several roots ending in a nasal, the nasal drops in the past participle, for example, gam, gata, han. You'd expect to see hanta, but it's in fact hatta. And tan is tata. So tata is stretched. The imagery here is that of a loom. So what is a loom? It is a stretching tool. It's for weaving on your loom. You stretch out I keep forgetting which one is the warp and the woof or whatever. Anyway, you stretch the up and down ones, and you weave whatever you're weaving on the threads that are stretched in the loom. So a loom is a stretching tool. So we have tan to stretch, and we have the suffix tra, which very frequently means a tool or an implement for doing something. Therefore, the word for a loom, a weaving loom, is formed in that way. Tantra. Many of you will have heard the word tantra. Tantra. But in fact, that's where it comes from, the word for loom.
How does that connect, James, to the classic mantra and tantra sort of concept?
There will be others, probably, I'm fairly sure, among this group who will be better able than I am to explain why the word tantra is used then as it is, particularly in the Tibetan way. I'm looking particularly at Chris and Palden for input on why the word tantra is used in the way that we know it's, particularly in Tibetan Buddhism.
And sorry, just before that, the actual definition is loom.
It's a loom, yes, as in for weaving. And so let's just go back to the imagery here. The idea is that it's the Paramatma, this kind of divine, that which lies behind all existence, is like the loom. And all the visible existence that we see, the individual human being, individual life, is, so to speak, patterns woven on this loom. And these patterns and these life and our individual existence could not be unless it were, so to speak, by this poetic imagery, woven as patterns within this loom. Take the loom away, and you can't weave anything. Take this threads away, you can't make any pattern. So it's a kind of poetic imagery. We exist because there is this divine substance. I'm using words loosely here, behind us, which enables us to have our visible forms. So it's saying that that by which all this is stretched, yena sarvam idam tatam. In other words, it's talking about this loom. So has anybody anything to say about why Tantra has come to have that meaning?
James, I'm not entirely sure, but I had the impression that the Tantra practices were more advanced, so they stretch one's understanding and commitment, if you will.
Oh, it's an interesting one. I've never really worked it out. Does anyone else have any?
I would say it's possible, James, that tan in Sanskrit is like extension, the extension.
Yes, right, yes.
In English, or tendere in Italian.
Yes.
And it's like stretching the source of Dharma. Usually the source of Dharma is the Buddha. But in the Tantra, you have many deities giving similar teachings, similar because they are coming from different Buddhas, not historical Buddha. And these teachings are still an extension of Dharma. And similarly, also in the Shaiva Tantras or Vaishnava Tantra, there are extensions of the Vedas given in the past through Rishi, through sages, and who were considered appropriate vessels of Vishnu and Shiva, and also they gave teachings which are almost at the same level of the Vedas.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much for that, Marco. So I'm clearly not the best person in this group to explain why, but now with these explanations we got a lot closer, and maybe more next time if anyone finds out more. There's another very interesting and fun point that Marco mentioned that I'd forgotten to mention. Unlike me, to forget a bit of fun etymology. But this root tan is the same that occurs in Latin. So the Latin tendere. In fact, tendo, tendere, tensi, tensum. Is that correct, Marco? Tendo, tendere, tensi, tensum. And it's where it means to stretch, and it's where we get our English word tension from. When you're feeling stretched, you're in a state of tension. And also, on a more homely level, it's where we get the word tent, because tent is material which is just stretched over to make a shelter. And it's where you get your intention, a kind of an inner tension building up to create, an energy within the mind. So it's from that same root. And interestingly enough, our English word thin comes from that same origin as well. If something is fat in a ball, you stretch it out, stretch it, and it becomes thin. So so our word thin and the Latin tendere, tension, tent are from that same origin.
James, I've just sorry.
Possibly tendons as well.
Oh, a tendency. Yeah, I suppose it is, because it's something like an elastic band, something kind of pulling you in a certain direction, where your mind feels something stretching, pulling the mind towards it. Hadn't thought of that. Nice one, Marco. Yes.
What about the word tenuous?
Tenuous, that is the same. Tenuous means thin. I mean, in a metaphorical sense as well. You can talk about a tenuous argument. You know, means like stretched thin. There's not much to it.
Just out of interest, James, I've just looked at what the actual Tibetan translation of the word is. And
Yes.
it's yud, which means something like a stream or a continuum or a thread. Bit like sutra, same sort of meaning as sutra. And it's
because a sutra from the
and the connection's something to do with the transmission, because tantra's transmitted, isn't it? It's not something you read about. It's delivered by direct transmission. So there's something about the thread and the transmission through the thread, something like that.
So it may be that there's no one exactly right answer. Maybe the whole idea of the loom, the thread, the stretching all lie behind this tantra. While we're on tantra, Paula also asked about mantra. There are actually, and I'd be grateful if anyone else has any input, there are two interpretations. We have our root man, meaning thinking, from which we get the same through the separate linguistic roots. We get the Latin mens, mentis, mental, and so on, and the same word comes via the Germanic line, where we get our English word mind. So mantra could be interpreted to mean a mind tool, just as a tantra is a stretching tool.
Yeah.
So a mantra is like a mind tool, either something by which you work on the mind, or by the use of the mind, you make your mind into a tool for doing something else. That's one interpretation of mantra. The other interpretation is there is a separate root, tra, meaning to protect. We have it, for example, sorry. In peritra. By the way, I'll remind you that where you have a root ending in a long a, and that root then forms the final member of a compound, the a shortens. So tra, to protect, peritra, with a short a, means that which protects. We have the same, for example, nya, to know. And sarvajna, omniscient, omnisciens, omniscient, all-knowing. So the long a of the root becomes shortened where it's a noun or an adjective as the final member. So here a peritra is that which protects around. We have it in Pali as a peritta, and many of the Theravada chants are known as the peritani, the protection chants. So then, in answer to Paula's questions, mantra can mean either a mind tool or something that protects the mind. I've seen both explanations advanced. Possibly both are true. I mean, is there anybody who has any ideas on this? If there is one single correct explanation of mantra, or whether they are both correct?
James, sorry. Go ahead.
Paula, go on. See?
So I had heard that it was as man as in mind and tra as in transcending the mind. So the mantra is a practice by which you transcend the mind, which isn't so different from the previous discussion we're having about the extension and
about the
blah,
expansion
blah,
and
blah.
extension of the mind. How do you get tra to mean to extend or to transcend?
No, it wasn't an etymological explanation. It was a sort of just an explanation of the.
Okay, oh, sure, yeah. Which is true. I mean, which is well capable of being true.
Like in Avatara, the root is supposedly be tr, like in Tara, to
Yes.
traverse, to cross over.
That's right.
And in case of mantra, to cross over the mind. This is also sometimes found as another possible explanation.
Yeah, I wonder, because we've got the root tree with the longer meaning to cross. And normally, as you mentioned, that makes the Tara, Avatara, the being who crosses down. Could it make a tra from the root tree? I'm not quite sure if it could, but I'll double check that point and see if I can find any more about it. Let me just
James, I've just done a Google search about the difference between the Sutra approach in Tibetan Buddhism and the Tantric or Tantra approach. Two different methodologies. Just briefly, the Sutra methodology relies on intellectual understanding, ethics, and meditation, and is considered more open to all practitioners. That's the particular path I follow. The Tantra, on the other hand, involves highly specialized, secret, and symbolic methods, sadhanas, deity yoga, mantras, requiring empowerments from a teacher. And a lot of the Tantra approach does involve very specialized visualizations as well in the meditation approach.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a very good visualizer, so I've not naturally been drawn to the Tantra methodology.
Okay, right.
There's two views of reality. The Sutras takes the view that ordinary reality is impure, and the Tantra view is to view all phenomena as inherently pure, a mandala of the Buddha. So that in the Tibetan context, there's the two different methodologies, Sutra and Tantra. And they both seem to use mantras for meditation.
Okay.
I'm drawn, as I say, to the Sutra approach, and I really haven't made any attempt to get empowerment or any such thing, especially visualizations from advanced teachers.
Right. So, is there any advance on what Chris has just told us?
I think that from my little study is that the whole empowerment concept relies on the fact that there is the possibility for direct transmission of enlightenment and other things from the teacher to the student based on many practices and blah blah blah. And it is the belief that we are more than flesh and bones, and therefore through our energies and whatever, this direct transmission can happen. And I think that's all part of the Tantric chapter.
Right.
It's regarded as a faster approach, James. Yes, that's quite right, what's been said.
Faster and more dangerous and requiring kind of special a bit the difference between a racing driver and an ordinary pedal bike.
I think I'll stick to the slow and steady.
It's absolutely far from fast. It requires a ton of practice and a ton of dedication, a ton of this and that. It's just a different method.
Yeah. So, yes, by saying fast, it's kind of like sudden. I mean, the preparation can be very, very long, but unless I'm confusing with Zen. Anyway, back to the safe, solid ground of linguistics. I've just turned up Manu Williams here, where he comes down. Just the instrument of thought and therefore speech. What Manu Williams isn't, what Manu Williams says isn't necessarily conclusively true, but he is a scholar to whom we give very great weight. And then, so the instrument of thought, sacred text, then the sacred formula, and so on. So all of this arose out of our tatam, yena, that's the instrumental, of course, by which sarvam idam tatam, all of this is stretched, as in held on the loom. Vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartumarhati. Na kaschit, kuro ka is who. Kaschit makes it indefinite, meaning somebody, anybody, somebody. In Pali, it's kochi, so kaschit kochi in Pali means somebody or anybody. And nakochi in Pali, nakaschit in Sanskrit is not anybody, therefore nobody. So nakaschit, nobody, kartum arhati. Arhati is the same, from the same root arh, meaning it's the same root from which we get arahant. In Sanskrit, it is arhant. In Pali, and certain so arahant in Pali, but it's the same word. And the original idea is worthy, capability, mastery of something. Interestingly enough, it's from the same root. From that same root, we get our English word worth. It's the same root as the Greek archizo, meaning to be at the beginning of something, and therefore to be the ruler. It turns up in English as either arch or arch. So the archbishop is the chief bishop, the ruling bishop. Incidentally, the word architect, architectus, the architect literally means chief builder, because he was the person in charge of the building and directing the other builders what to do. In fact, in modern Greek, archizo just means to begin. So, have I got that right, Paola?
Entirely, thanks.
I'm relieved to hear it. Thank you, Paola. So, arhati then means it also, apart from being worthy, in other contexts, it means being capable of doing something. It's very frequently used if you're in a polite negated request. Etat kartum na arhasi, etat kartum narhasi. You are not worthy of doing that. You are not capable of doing that. It's like a polite prohibition. Please don't do that. So that's why you will often find as arhant in Pali, arahant, it means a worthy one who is going to accomplish the goal, as a verb frequently meaning to be capable of it, or to have it in you to do it. So nakashchit, nobody, arhati is able, kartum, to do what, to do or make what, the vinasham asya avyayasya. Nobody is capable of accomplishing kartum, the vinasham, the destruction of this avyayasya, asya avyayasya, of this imperishable, or of this which is imperishable. So the Avinashi here, it is our very common and well-known noun ending in, means that basically a person who does something, or applied to a thing that has that quality. So vinasha, from the root nash, vinasha means destruction. If something is avinashin in its stem form, avinashin, it means indestructible. These these stems in, very, very common. In the masculine singular, the in stems end in a long e. So, for example, in yoga, one who does yoga is a yogin. Masculine singular, yogi, with a long e, and the in comes back in the other form. So yoginam, yoginaha, yogini, and so on. Here we see the word ending, that's with a long e in the masculine singular. Here we see it in a short e, and that is simply the neuter form of inashi. And I think if I'd done a note, those of you who love looking these things up can look it up in MacDonnell at paragraph 88. I do emphasize, I hope that you all know and love and admire and frequently resort to Sanskrit Grammar for Students by MacDonnell. It really is a grammar for students, and it's an admirable piece of work, the way he's really condensed it, and you can just tell that he's such a benign old man, the way he makes it all simple, easy for the students, and condenses into that book. Just the essence of what you need to know in Sanskrit, and beautifully well explained as well. Please all, I urge and implore you, get to know and love MacDonnell's Sanskrit grammar. For those of you who are feeling tough and brave and want to go, so to speak, the tantric route, then you can get onto his full Vedic grammar, which is clearly that is the inner sanctum designed for those who want to go a lot further. But honestly, his Sanskrit grammar is an essential tool. In fact, even for the Pali classes, I tell the students they have to equip themselves with MacDonnell as well, because there's so much in Pali grammar that is either more easily explicable or only explicable by reference to Sanskrit grammar. And MacDonnell is your man. So avinashitu tadvidhi, the tu has the for, or therefore vidhi, know, tad avinashi, know that to be indestructible. Yena sarvamidam tatam, by which all of this is translated as pervaded, but literally stretched. We are patterns on the divine loom of the universe in this imagery. Vinasham avyayasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Nobody can destroy this which is imperishable. So I think it might be time for a recitation of it. Madeline, would you like to do us a recitation of this verse?
Yes, certainly. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavya yasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati.
This second, sorry, this first part of the second line, it is a bit of a tongue twister. It's Vinasham avyayasyasya.
Avyayasyasya. Avyayasyasya.
Yes. Yes. Avyaya. Okay. Avyaya. Genitive avyayasya.
Yes.
And of this avyaya is asya, avyayasya, and therefore avyayasyasya.
Avyayasyasya.
Got it. Excellent.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, Shri Namala, would you like to have a go? I'll call up the Devanagari so you can read from either as you wish.
Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavya yasyasya nakaschit kartumarhati.
Thank you very much, Shri Namala. It's lovely to hear you reciting both in Sanskrit and in Pali as well. So you're very good at both. That's this wonderful combination of the two cultures in Sri Lanka. Very strong Sanskrit culture as well as the Pali culture. Yeah. Thank you, Shri Namala.
Thank you.
Chris, we're round to you.
Avinashishi tu tadvidi yena savam idam tatam vidnasham advaya yasyasya na kaschit kartum arati.
Okay, very good. When you were pronouncing avyaya, I'd noticed that the y there became more like a via.
Yes.
It has to be, in classical Sanskrit, it has to be pronounced more distinctly as a consonant, avya. It's two, it's distinctly two syllables, avya, not avya. Incidentally, if you go back to Vedic, it would have been permissible to say avya with an E followed by an A. It would have been permissible in Vedic. But in classical Sanskrit, not. Maybe we're from some echoes from a previous life, Chris. You were slipping back into the Vedic pronunciation of it.
James, I think you've pushed that narrative on previous occasions.
It's a nice excuse, because I'd stick to it if I was the old Vedic previous lives coming out.
Yes, that's my escape hatch. Yes. Thank you.
Right, Chris. So, Marco, would you like to give us a recitation?
Avinashitu tadvide yena sarvam idam tatam vinashamavyayasyam nakashit kartum arhati.
Okay, very good. Thank you. How did you pronounce the kaschit there?
Kashit kartum.
Can you say kashit? Kashit or kashchit? Yeah.
Kashchit.
You do sometimes hear different pronunciations when I've been listening to Brahmins chanting in Sanskrit. Sometimes get some almost even kaschit and sometimes kashit. Probably very, very strictly speaking, it's a kashchit, but you will hear variations in pronunciation of it. Yeah. Thank you, Marco. And,
thank you.
Okay, so the bright sunlight, the glorious sun, Paladin. Can you
Avinashi tu tadvidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vina sam avyayasyasya, nakaschit kartum arhati.
Okay, can you just pronounce this example of you the Romanize the remember hold it very distinctly with the a double D vidhi.
Vidhi.
Yeah.
Vidhi.
The word vidhi exists, but it's a different word. Okay, do it once more then, Paladin.
Avinashi tu tadvidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vinasham avyayasyasya, nakaschit kartum arhati.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you. We're on to you, Barry.
Yeah. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam midam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartum marhati.
Wonderful. That is excellent. Excellent. Had you been practicing that one, Barry? It came out very fluently and faultlessly even.
I've been practicing a little bit just now while other people have been reading. Yes,
Okay, right.
to be quite honest.
Anyway, that came out very well indeed. So we can move on to the next verse, unless there are any further comments or queries on this one.
James, could I just quickly ask, in regard
Yes,
to
please do.
McDonald, in regard to McDonald, is there an online facility or tool available in the same sense that you've got the Moni Williams dictionary available as an online tool?
Now I think that there is. Let me just. There used to be. Let's just see if it's still there. It might be. There should be a reference in the Sanskrit grammars into page 41. Let me just check if it's still working. I know there was one.
Oh yeah.
So let's just see if it's working.
Aha.
And can we enlarge it? Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, so there is this one where you simply scroll down, and that just looks like a photograph of it. There used to be another. There used to be another one where you just had where it had an index and you could click on the paragraph number that you wanted and you went straight to it. I don't know if that one is still available. But anyway, this is freely available, and this link I've clicked now is the one that's in my
Right.
study resources guide. Incidentally, there does exist. I put it here. One minute. I've got the old copy, which I got, I think, back in 1965 or 6. This is the old Oxford University Press copy. It has since been reprinted. The same one since been reprinted by Mutila Benarsidas. Who's reading? DK Print World. It's been reprinted in India. On several occasions, I've seen reprints done in India where the type, it's come out quite blurred and not easy to read. This particular one is remarkable. It can be bought via, incidentally, on Amazon very cheaply. And this one is very good because the print is crystal clear. It's really easy to use. The layout is exactly the same, page for page, as the old Oxford University Press one, and it's just beautifully clear. In fact, it's even clearer than the OUP one.
I've got this pink one, James, and that's pretty good as well. I don't know if you can see that.
I can indeed. Which who did that one, Paladin?
Motilal. Sorry, I can't see because the print's too small. It's printed
Banarsidass.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Motilal Banarsidass.
Pink cover, and it's pretty clear.
Yeah. I wonder actually whether it might be the same operation now, just under a different cover. Anyway, I would urge you just to get hold of it if you can. There's the other one I was mentioning, which is Vedic grammar for students. That is along the same lines, but with all the extra bits that you need for Vedic grammar. There is the third one that I was mentioning. That's the real SAS stuff, where it's not the Vedic grammar for students; it's just his full Vedic grammar, and that is really a comprehensive work, magnificent work. Okay, let me get out of that one. I'm just going to shut the door. The gardeners arrived and things like that. So we can go on now to 218. So by the way, you probably will discover now, in case you need them, that there's any number of translations and commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita all over the internet. So there's absolutely no shortage of them. So I'll read this out. Antavanta ime deha nityasyuktaha sharirinaha anashino prameyasyat tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Antavanta ime deha nityasyuktaha sharirinaha. The word order can be a little bit confusing here. The break is in the middle of the second pada. So, ime deha, literally these bodies, ime is just the nominative plural, masculine nominative plural of ayam, so ime, these, deha, bodies. Of the sharirin. Deha and sharira, and another word is kaya, they all mean body. But they all mean body in a different sense. The deha, the original meaning of it is something that is shaped or molded or formed. Interestingly enough, our English word dough, as in D-O-U-G-H, the flour, add water to flour and you mold it into dough, which is you can mold it into a shape. It's from that same root. And curiously enough, Latin does occasionally change the phonemes, and occasionally things turn up as an F in Latin, where it begins life as a D or a D in Sanskrit. So, for example, dharmandri, it turns up in Latin as firmus. So our English expression terra firma, which would be terra firma in Latin, firm ground, it's that same meaning of firmness. This dif root, meaning to fashion or to mold, turns up as a fig in Latin, figura, something which is fashioned or shaped or molded. In fact, our English word fashion ultimately derives from that same root. So the deha means a body, but in its capacity or under its aspect of just a physical thing that has a shape, that has a fashion to it, been molded, been shaped. And a word for a soul is dehin. That means that which possesses a deha. So when you see the word dehi, dehin, means something that possesses a deha, therefore the embodied soul. Another word for body is sharira. Sorry, was somebody asking something?
No, sir. In Sinhala, we call deha for the dead body.
Ah, you reserve it for the dead body, do you?
Yes.
That's
In
interesting.
Sinhala, I don't know about Sanskrit, but in Sinhala, it's a dead body is there, we call it a deha.
That's interesting. In Sanskrit, no. In Sanskrit, deha just is used for a live body.
Okay.
That's interesting that in Sinhala you reserve it for dead bodies. That was something I hadn't known. One of the words for a dead body is kadevara, in Pali kalevara, and of course that turns up in Latin as which we use the word in English as well, a cadaver, meaning a corpse. Do you use the word cadaver or the Italian equivalent of it, Marco? Do you use the word in Latin?
Yes, cadavere. Yes. But for instance, corpse in English relates to corpo in Italian, and
yes, yeah.
or a living body in Italian.
Oh, of course, yes, because Latin corpus and Italian corpo is just a word for a body, but exactly like deha in Sinhala, when that word comes into English, a corpse, as Marco correctly observed, in English we use that word for a dead body, just as in Sinhala use deha in that sense. So deha, that which fashioned, that which has a form. Sharira is from the shri, meaning to lean on something or to rely on something. So the sharira also means body, but in its aspect as a support or a dwelling for the soul. So the sharirin here, rather like dehin, both of them mean soul, but the soul in relation to the body is dehin, that which possesses a body, the sharirin, that which possesses a sharira. Essentially the same meaning, but looked at from slightly different aspects. By the way, the third very common word for body is kaya, which of course is by far the most common word in use in Pali. And that is from the root chi, meaning to pile up or to accumulate. So the word kaya is a body under its aspect of an accumulation of various parts, as it were, assembled to make a functioning body. If you just think how many parts and substances we're all made of, so the word kaya is body under the aspect of a functioning assembly of parts. So these deha, these fashioned bodies of the sharirin, of the soul, or of the eternal soul, this is the nitya. So ime deha, these bodies, nityasya sharirinaha, of the eternal.
Should that be in the stridome? Should that be in the genitive, not the accusative? Nitasya, nityasya.
It is in the genitive.
Have you got it down as M2 single?
Have I? Naughty me. Thank you. Direction. Thank you, Peldon. Peldon can always be relied on. Actually, it's very encouraging for me that some of you at least do read these grammatical annotations that I give. So thank you, Peldon. M6. If I've done the others right, M6. Yeah. M666. Yes, correct. So nitya, permanent, abiding, lasting. And of course, all of you know in Pali the word anicca, meaning impermanent. Lost me. Where have I put me? Oh, here it is. I've just lost my bit of paper I was using. Blank. Here we are. There, it doesn't matter. So it's the word nitya, meaning permanent. One possible explanation of why it means what it means and I'd be grateful for any other explanations, is the word ni, which becomes in both Latin and English. It's the I. And the suffix tia means belonging somewhere. So nitya is that which belongs within it, and by extension, that which has something permanent within it that makes it it. But by it's come just to mean permanent or lasting. And we see it most commonly in the Pali anicca, meaning impermanent. Of course, in Sanskrit is anitya. But here it's talking about the soul that is permanent. So, ime deha, these bodies, nityasya sharirinaha, of the enduring soul, uktaha, are said, that is, are said to be, ukta antavanta, having an end. So anta means end. In fact, our English word end derives from that same word. And this is antavanta with it's that adjectival suffix vant stem, means possessed of, We have it. It's very, very frequent. Bhagavantam, Buddham, Bhagavantam, Abhivademi, for example, is that stem vant. This is the masculine plural nominative, antavantaha, with the visarga standing on its own, but the aha before the I, what happens is you drop off the visarga, so you have the antavanta ime, and you have the hiatus there. And incidentally, where you have that hiatus between two consonants, in the Devanagari script, it is shown as a hiatus. So if you look here, antavanta, the new word ime. So you start with the full vocalic sign for I. Antavanta ime deha. And ukta is from vach, past participle ukta, meaning said. They are said to be people. They are here. I mean, the teaching is that they are, not just casually said. The ukta here refers to the teaching. It's from the root vach, meaning to say, to speak or to say. It's the same vach that turns up in Latin as vox, modern Italian la voce, which becomes la voix in French, and our English word vocal, and similar words from that same root. What has happened here? The ukta, the past participle, is ukta, that which is said. Why is it ukta? Okay, two things. First of all, you want to make the past participle, you add ta. So you would think you start off by saying vach ta. But by internal santi, and generally the phonetics of Sanskrit do not permit a ch followed by a ta. Therefore it changes to a k. So that is why it becomes, this word doesn't quite yet exist yet. It would be, sorry, vakta, not vukta, vakta. So vakta doesn't exist. Now the reason for that, it becomes ukta, because in Vedic it was actually stressed. This final past participle stressed to udatta, a raised tone. And what happened was, where you get vakta, don't bother about these accents for Sanskrit. This just relates to Pali, but it's, to Vedic, but it explains what happens in Pali. Back in Vedic, it would be vakta, vakta, with udatta, higher tone. But because that's the higher tone, you apply samprasarana, a lenition, a kind of softening to the va, so it becomes u. So it kind of shortens, so the va shortens to an u. So that is what gives you the that's what explains the ukta, vach, vachta, ukta. In Pali, it's written as Pali's vutta. So what happens? They've still got the u vowel, but the v has come back. So in Pali in Sanskrit, ukta, Pali vutta. So literally, these bodies are said having an end. So you have to supply to be. They are said to be. So the next two words here, anashina and aprameyasya, these are both adjectives in the genitive qualifying sharirina. So imedeha, nityasya, anashinaha, aprameyasya sharirina. These bodies of the nitya, lasting, enduring, permanent, anashina, indestructible, aprameyasya, boundless or immeasurable. And as I said, the ukta here said, meaning they are taught to be, the traditional teaching is that the bodies are antavanta, having an end, bodies come to an end, but the soul doesn't. Tasmat yudhyasva bharata. Tasmat, therefore, bharata, vocative, bharata, fight. A slightly different kind of morality at the ordinary human level from the traditional Buddhist teaching, because effectively the teaching here of the Bhagavad Gita is that actually if you murder somebody, nobody dies, no real murder has been committed. In my time as a lawyer in this country, I didn't actually dare to try that defense in a court of law. I don't think I'd have got very far with it. In the Buddhist doctrine takes an entirely different view. But I think we might have to be careful not to map one onto the other. It's got its own deep morality here within the Bhagavad Gita, so I think it's entirely wrong to say, well, it's different from another form of morality, therefore wrong. It's actually, this is like a spiritual instruction. Strive on without fear that your body will die. There is something that will continue afterwards. The form yudhyasva is the imperative, is the atmanepada imperative here. You've got the root is yud, meaning to fight. It is a class 4 verb, and therefore it adds the between the root and the ending, it adds a ya. And I'll just call it up for you here. So what happens is yud, it's a class 4, so it adds the ya, and it's atmanepada, a reflexive verb. So it's not yud, it's yudhyate. And also you do see the alternative form yudhati, which you might expect to be more frequent, but the one that you in fact frequently see is yudhyate, and it's an atmanepada verb of class 4, so yudhyate. The imperative for the parasmaipada is just as in our very frequent bhava, be. But with the atmanepada ending, sorry, the ending is aswa, so yudhyaswa. If it were yudhyati as a parasmaipada verb, the imperative would just be yudhya, but it's not, it's atmanepada, so yudhyaswa. So I'll just read this through once more before we wind up. So antavanta ime deha nityasyuktaha sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasma yudhyasva bharata. So I have to shoot off now for my next thing. So what we'll do when we reconvene next time. We will just deal with any further queries and comments on this verse and have to have the recitations on it, and then move on to the Bodhicharyavatara. Okay, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you next time,
James.
hopefully.
Thank you,
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you
James.
all.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye.
James. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye. Bye.